Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. It's time to take a look at another GoBot review. And this time around we've got the Guardian GoBot Heat Seeker. Now, Heat Seeker came out in late 1984. He would actually appear on the cartoon series before he would be released as a toy. Then he would be still available in 1985 and would be discontinued well before the line would be taken out of circulation. Heat Seeker obviously is named for a type of missile that he likely carries. So as you turn him to the side here, you can see he does have a few missiles attached to his backside. And he was one of the more common ones that Leader 1 would summon from Gobotron to assist the GoBots in their weekly campaign against the Renegades. All in all, I think he's an interesting looking little robot. A little asymmetrical due to the fact that he's got one of the wheels hanging off to the side here. That's a little disappointing that they made it like that. As for articulation, he's only got it in his arms. You can rotate his arms all the way, actually, as you can see. At least going from this direction, they will rotate all the way. If you go from the opposite direction, they're likely to catch on the body due to the fact that there's this little tiny post protruding on the arm. You can probably just barely see it there on the camera, but it catches on the side. But then again, if we pull his arms out a little bit, then he won't catch. There we go, that's better. That's better. He looks a little better that way too. Otherwise, when you have the arms in like that, he looks like somebody that's trying to hide the fact he's not wearing any deodorant. And we save that for G.I. Joes. Since Beachhead of the G.I. Joes famously boasted that he doesn't use deodorant in the cartoon. Not something you really want to talk about with somebody when you've been locked in a coffin for several hours. At any rate, let's convert Heat Seeker into his alternate mode. First, we'll bring his arms down and push them in, like so. Then we're going to come down here to his feet, and we fold them outward. We're going to grab the nose of his plane, and fold it up, so it covers his head. And then, as we fold it back over to his backside, we're going to shift parts of his body out to the sides, like so. And then slide the metal body in together. Kind of connect it up. Push his legs up against the body, like so. Then you're going to fold up the tail fin together, like so. And there you have his alternate mode, an F-16 fighter jet. And of course, if you want to simulate landings, you do have a couple of landing gear. Here on the side, you just drop them down a little bit. You might have to adjust them a little bit so that he looks properly landed like that. All in all, it's not a bad representation of one of America's greatest fighting jets. I had a model kit of this when I was younger, so I definitely loved this airplane. I didn't have Heat Seeker growing up as a kid, though, so the only real downside, the only real drawback on his appearance is the fact that there are so many screws in here on the wings. I mean, the two that line up vertically are obviously holding the missile on, but and the third one here that's off to the side is connecting him to the metal that holds him to the bottom, that holds it all together. So the appearance really comes off a little negatively. Maybe if he was covered up with a few more stickers or a paint job like the Thunderbirds would be nice. So Thunderbirds use the F-16 as their plane for their stunt work. And maybe that would make the appearance look a little bit better. We'd probably be more forgiving if it had that, if it had Thunderbirds markings or something similar. Just something to help cover that appearance a little bit. But, oh well, we can't get that now, unless you want to customize it. But, as an airplane, he needs to be able to swoosh, and he does that pretty good. But, the big thing people might want to know is how well does he roll on these wee wheels? Well, let's find out. Fair, at best. The wheels are all pretty small. And of course, like we said earlier, you gotta have the back ones lined up just right. And if they get loose, well, he's obviously gonna topple over. Heat Seeker, of course, has no loose parts. Unless, of course, some mischievous kid unscrewed those screws holding the missiles on and has lost them. I, of course, am not going to attempt that. This is a 30-year-old toy. I'd be afraid it'd fall apart if I attempted to do that. So we're not even going to think about it, and we're just going to go on straight to the final thoughts. What do I think of Heat Seeker? Well, Heat Seeker is one of the more interesting airplanes that came out of the GoBots line. It certainly does look like an attack fighter when he's in his alternate mode. And he gives off a little better of an impression than, say, the small version of Leader 1. So I'm with a lot of the fans that maybe one of the other airplanes should have been picked as Leader 1 instead of the Eagle. But, however, Tonka and Bandai fixed that by making the big one. They corrected a lot of the faults, and the airplane looks a lot better in the Super version. Heat Seeker here, on the other hand, it's a little hard to say. His conversion method is slightly more complicated than what you would expect for the average GoBot. I will give it marks, however, for being significantly different. And we're talking in an age where the GoBots aren't really as liked, so finding instructions for these guys on the internet is a bit of a pain. So, like many of you, any of us adults that are adding these guys to our collection, we're kind of forced to play with it ourselves or hope somebody out there does a video to show you how to do it. To those of you in that crowd, you're welcome. But as a toy, Heat Seeker falls definitely into the middle tier. I mean, it's always nice to have a attack jet, and let's face it, after Top Gun came out the following year after this guy came out, a lot of us probably imagined sitting in a fighter jet and flying around at the high speeds and shooting down our enemies, especially if you had a video game on your home consoles that allowed you something of an experience like that. So in a lot of ways you could imagine it. Unfortunately, Heat Seeker's held back from being a top-tier toy by a lot of things, mainly leading up to his design. The exposed front landing gear isn't a fun thing to have, nor seeing all those screws in his wings. But if you can overlook those details, this is a fine toy to have in your collection, and I would definitely recommend seeking one out. And that concludes my review of the Guardian GoBot Heat Seeker. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you liked the video, drop me a thumbs up here on YouTube. New to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and join up in our ranks. Don't forget to ring the bell so you'll be notified when I load new content. Also, please share this video with your friends and share your thoughts in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.